I think companies are really struggling with data and analytics today because there's a lack of capability for them to actually leverage data at an enterprise scale in production, right? I think companies are doing an amazing job when it comes to single-use business cases and how do they really sort of tackle a single project. But when you try to roll that out across your entire organization at scale, lots of organizations are finding that to be super difficult to do. I don't think it's specific to the European market. I think absolutely organizations everywhere are really trying to figure out how do we get a better handle of our data, how do we actually drive value out of our data, and how do we really think about transforming our business as a result of the data. Some of the biggest issues that organizations are facing when it comes to being able to deploy this is really not having a modern data architecture. How do you really think about breaking down those data silos? How do you think about empowering everybody across the organization to use data? And so, which is the second problem. How do you think about the culture and the people and process? So a technology platform can empower, but you really need to think about all of the aspects when it comes to your data strategy and how are you going to align that with your business. The other issue organizations are facing is skilled resources in the data space, and so how do we think about making sure that the technology supports as many people to leverage data in their day-to-day activities without having complete dependency on just data engineers and just data scientists and just data analysts being the only ones that can harness data. So the amazing part about a lakehouse architecture similar to the one that Databricks has is it's really breaking down those silos. If you think about traditional analytics being driven out of a traditional data warehouse pattern and really sort of relying on those existing systems that have been around for quite a while, organizations then started to use data lakes for your data science and your artificial intelligence and all of those things. Lakes became swamps and you really started writing data back and forth across them, and it just became really difficult to maintain. You had two different governance models across those two different architectures, and you had different tool sets for your teams to use. And so the great thing about something like Lakehouse that Databricks can provide is bridging the gap between those two different ecosystems to really unlock the power of your data in one governance model, one tool, one system, one process. So some of the biggest benefits of leveraging the Lakehouse platform is really just the amount of capability you now have to break down the silos of the organization. So when you think about people, process, and technology, the people part requires that they actually have access to data when they need it to make their decisions. And so really sort of focusing on how do you make sure that you're getting the right data assets into the ecosystem and making it as simple as possible. You have to have a technology platform that's simple. We really think that you have to think about being open. And so when you think about being open source and can it be portable and how do you make sure that it's future proof, I think lots of organizations have invested a lot in technologies and then been stuck as technology evolved and they weren't able to move as fast as the technology platforms were. And then how do you make sure that it's multi-cloud? Like there's just no single cloud provider is going to be able to provide all the benefits that you need as an organization for every use case. So how do you think about leveraging Lakehouse to ensure that your organization has the capability to span clouds and to span ecosystems? I think the other amazing thing when we think about Databricks and sort of the value that it adds is really not just thinking about the platform, but also about the culture, the data culture. I've had the opportunity to have multiple conversations today around how do we now take it to the next level. We have a great platform with the Lakehouse. We've started now to open up the ecosystem. We're starting to really scale across the organization, but we haven't figured out now how do we actually transform the culture of our organization to catch up with the technology. And so when you think about what the technology can empower, how do we start to think about bringing people on the journey? How do we really think about ensuring our processes are in place to be able to support that sort of capability and value that we know data can bring to the business? We're here at Big Data London because it's one of the biggest events, I think. I have to admit, I've been in London now for 2 years, and I've done Big Data London for 4 years, and it just continues to evolve, to get bigger. There's more issues and more vendors and more capability to partner and collaborate and really hear about all the amazing things that are going on across the ecosystem. And it's not just the technology solutions, it's truly about connecting with others and realizing how can we solve some of these big data challenges together.